Hey there, and welcome to your private English tutoring explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to be your guide today. We're going to completely master Unit 1 of Oxford Word Skills, focusing entirely on how to effectively learn and talk about new vocabulary. Whether you're reading a dense article or just having a chat with a native speaker, having the right tools to acquire new words is basically your superpower. So let's jump right in. Here is our agenda for today's explainer. Welcome to your lesson, Leading Vocabulary Strategies, Guided Practice for Reading, Speaking Vocabulary Strategies, and finally, Guided Practice for Speaking. Section 1, Reading Vocabulary Strategies. How to tackle new words in text. All right, we're working directly from page 10 of your textbook, focusing on the Tips for Reading section and our very first glossary. This is packed with incredibly practical advice for what to actually do when you inevitably encounter words you just don't know yet. Let's kick things off with a crucial word. Listen closely to where I put the stress. Foreign. It's an adjective describing anything from a country that isn't your own, like you're putting in the hard work right now to master a foreign language. To use this in real life, you might say, man, I love traveling, but it's really hard to navigate when you don't speak the foreign language. Now this next concept, total game changer, the gist. When you're reading, you honestly don't need to understand every single word. Usually your main goal is just to get the overall general meaning without getting bogged down in the tiny details. For example, you could tell a friend, well, I didn't understand every single word of the news report, but I definitely got the gist of the story. So what do you do when you hit a mystery word you really need to know? You look at the context. That's the words directly before and right after your mystery word. By reading the context, you can logically guess the meaning without having to immediately grab your dictionary. Like, I didn't know the word, but the context made it super clear she was talking about a type of bird. But hey, sometimes context just isn't enough, right? That's when you might need to go through the text. This is a fantastic phrasal verb meaning to read something carefully from the very beginning to the very end to ensure you haven't missed any vital clues. You might use this at work, telling a coworker, hey, let me go through this report one more time before we submit it. And this brings us to a key distinction in English. Our Spotlight section compares formal language, which is serious and official, with its exact opposite, informal language, used in everyday casual situations. Quick tip. When you learn a new word, always make a mental note of whether it's formal or informal. It'll save you from some awkward situations. Section 3, Guided Practice for Reading. Let's apply what we've learned. Grab your notebooks, everyone. We're going to use the Think Aloud method to solve these questions step by step. I'll read out the clues and we'll figure out the logic behind the target vocabulary together. Ready? Let's do this. Okay, exercise 1, replacing italicized words. For sentence 1, the clue is general meaning. Since we aren't looking for specific details, we know that points us right to the gist. For sentence 2, we need a verb for recognize and decide, which perfectly matches our textbook definition for identify. And for number 3, the way you use words together to make a sentence. That's all about how you build it, so we call that the construction. Moving right along. In sentence 4, someone from another country is, by definition, foreign. In sentence 5, think about what surrounds a new word. Those words before and after provide the context, giving us the clues we need to figure it out. And finally, for number 6, if you're actively changing a text from one language into another, you're translating it. You translate. Honestly, you're doing fantastic. Let's jump to exercise 2, completing the dialogues. In dialogue 1, logic just tells us that if you don't know the answer, your best option is to guess. In dialogue 2, if you didn't understand everything, you only caught the main idea, so you got the gist of it. And down in Dialogue 5, reading it again carefully, step by step, means you want to go through it. Excellent work. Section 4, Speaking Vocabulary Strategies, Mastering Spoken English Learning. We're flipping over to page 11 now, focusing on Part B. This half gives us incredibly valuable advice for practicing conversations and interacting with native speakers out in the real world. Now, pay close attention to the stress here, because this is a classic trap. Pronounce is the verb for making the sound of a word. But look at the noun form, pronunciation. The stress completely shifts, and that ounce sound becomes an unsound. It's pronounce, but pronunciation. Huge difference. So you might say, I can pronounce his name, but my overall pronunciation needs work. As your tutor, I literally cannot emphasize this next tip enough. Do not be afraid to experiment with English, and never ever worry if you make mistakes. Making mistakes is just proof that you're actually trying, and it is exactly how we learn. For example, you might proudly tell someone, yeah, I made a few mistakes during the presentation, but it was amazing practice. And what do you do after you experiment and make those glorious mistakes? You study. To make sure you don't instantly forget all these new words, it's vital that you revise, meaning you study them again and again. Revision is basically the secret code to long-term memory. A great real-life example would be, I really need to revise my notes before the big test tomorrow. It's also fascinating to look at the difference in tone for words that all basically mean talking. Our material points out that a chat or conversation is friendly and informal. However, a discussion implies you're talking about something seriously. And if that serious discussion turns into an angry disagreement, boom, that's an argument. Context is everything, guys. Section 5, Guided Practice for Speaking. Let's put these new words into action. Let's tackle this table together by turning verbs into nouns. Ready? Discuss becomes discussion. Pronounce, remember our trap, turns into pronunciation. How about explain? That becomes explanation. Moving down, revise is revision. Repeat becomes repetition. And tricky little chat actually stays exactly the same as a noun. You can chat or you can have a chat. Applying our logic here for exercise 4, number 1. If you revise something, our definitions tell us you study it again. For number 2, if a learning method works, that means it is successful. And in English, oh, this is a massive one to remember, we always make a mistake. We never ever do a mistake. Lock that one in your memory. Let's finish strong with exercise 5. For sentence 1, because it's a serious talk about politics, the right word is discussion. In 2, a lucky chance to do something amazing, like working abroad, is an opportunity. And for number 4, a new way of cooking is a method, and if that rice tasted good, it means the method really worked. You have done an absolutely brilliant job today. As we wrap up our explainer session, I want you to look back at your notes and ask yourself this. Out of all the strategies we discussed today, from getting the gist to guessing from context, which of these methods are you going to experiment with today? And more importantly, how are you going to revise this lesson so these words stay with you forever? Keep practicing, embrace making those wonderful mistakes, and I'll see you in our next explainer.